So I bought Cyberpunk 2077 and played the game for a few hours. Kind of enjoyed it on PC, not even on a console, and then decided to get a refund. Why did I do that? There is more to this story than just mediocre performance on my PC. The game was still very playable, but I have more to tell you, and it has something to do with World of Warcraft Shadowlands as well as some other things. If you are in a mood of a little bit of a, it's not fully a rant, but a little bit of a semi-philosophical discussion, narrative, if you like it, then please stick around and we'll talk about it. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm your host Gyro. Before we dive right into the topics of Cyberpunk 2077, please bear with me for literally a couple of minutes while I say a few very needed words to better manage your expectations from this video. First of all, there will be no quest or storyline spoilers of Cyberpunk 2077 in this video, and while I could play the game on my PC on medium-ish settings, somehow my recording software didn't keep up, didn't quite run well in parallel, and recording of any action scenes was actually horribly stuttering and I couldn't properly fix it. So I will try to have as many kind of engaging, interesting scenes that will show to you the world of Cyberpunk 2077 in the background of this video, but primarily this will be an audio kind of podcast-like, if you like, episode where I will express my opinions, express my thoughts, and try and weave in as much as possible, as many as possible visuals that I was able to source from the game. But this is kind of your little bit of a warning. Hopefully you will still be able to enjoy at least some of the background footage. Otherwise you could literally just treat it as a podcast episode and, I don't know, iron your shirts in the background or cook some dinner while you listen to me talk to you. Point number two, while this is definitely an impressions sharing video for Cyberpunk, it is not claiming to be a full or even a thoroughly informed review. It is not a review, guys and girls, and I'm fully aware that I've barely scratched the surface of the game at this moment in time. Point number three is that when I tell you that I don't like something, be it Cyberpunk 2077 or any references to World of Warcraft Shadowlands expansion that I'll make going forward, it's me just simply sharing my own thoughts and impressions and by no means passing any judgment on you in any way, shape or form. If you happen to enjoy either of these two games thoroughly, good on you, I'm really happy for you. Finally, and very, very importantly, a special message to my World of Warcraft crowd of supporters who don't care much about Cyberpunk. Please do not worry about this channel suddenly turning into a Cyberpunk 2077 channel or something that chases gaming trends. It is a World of Warcraft channel first and foremost, and this is just an off-topic, healthy off-topic video. There is more World of Warcraft content coming your way in a few days' time, even if I'm not entirely super duper happy about Shadowlands expansion at this moment in time, and we'll talk about this in a moment. So why did I decide to buy the game in the first place as a dedicated World of Warcraft player with limited amount of free time? And plus being so early into a fairly freshly released Shadowlands expansion, why would I even distract myself with this? Because right now I am very disappointed in Shadowlands, feeling not engaged in any activity that I'm trying and that works for me. I'm not saying that I've tried every bit of content of Shadowlands literally, but irrelevant content, my friends, is not content. If I am not interested in a particular element of the game, it's almost like that element of the game doesn't exist. I apologize for such an obvious statement, but it has to be said and I have to get it out of the way before we continue. So I do not feel like World of Warcraft elements that appeal to me reward me for my time investment sufficiently. So I'm looking forward to exploring some elements of the game such as LFR that only opened this week, and if nothing else, that is actually a big topic of discussion that comes up soon, that will come up soon enough, and it does keep me interested in WoW. However, I'm sort of disengaged and I'm sort of not having fun in WoW and look for other sources of supplementary entertainment while I do bare minimum in WoW to feed my addiction to the game, so to speak. I hope it makes sense. Now, Cyberpunk. If you clicked on this video, I assume that you know about the game, what it is, how hyped up it was, and what kind of gameplay it offers, even roughly. I was personally excited for the release, but I kept myself largely uninformed, deliberately, not really watching Night City Wire, or developer interviews, or Keanu Reeves spotlights, or any other extensive gameplay coverage videos on YouTube. A lot of fun for me personally comes from the process of personal discovery, exploration, making mistakes, learning the ropes of the game along the way, really, such as picking wrong talents maybe, because I thought they'd be good and so on. So I've done my research of where to get Cyberpunk from and decided to give 100% of my money to the developers of the game by buying it directly from GOG.com, which is the online retailer store and the shopfront for their CD Projekt Red parent company. Running a little ahead of myself, and part of my frustration, I suppose, comes from the fact that even if you ever want to get a refund from that place, you will need to know that in spite of their apparent no questions asked within the first 30 days of purchase policy, first, they have not looked at my rather polite, I would say, request for about a week now. Second, all of the automatic communications from them so far suggest that refunds are still up to their discretion and not guaranteed by any chance, by any stretch of imagination. And finally, you will not get your money back in any case. And in the best case scenario that they decide to honor your request, and my request right now that's still outstanding at the moment of recording of this video, you will only get the credit for the game to your GOG.com wallet. So if you ever want to see any value in these funds ever again, you will still have to buy something from them through GOG.com. Please be aware of that. You will never see your hard-earned cash ever again. So that is certainly slightly off-putting. I've discovered all of that obviously in the process, so maybe perhaps my little contribution to the community would be that if you ever want to do the right thing and not buy from Steam.com perhaps and give 100% of your money to the developer, you might not be seen and be kind of welcomed and rewarded with the similar treatment from the team. At least I have not seen that so far from them. Of course, it's not a no. My request is still in progress, as you can see from the screenshot that I've shown you, but at the same time there are no guarantees. It gives me no confidence and kind of makes me a little bit apprehensive about further purchases from them or about recommending this to anyone else. What about the game itself though? I like it, I do, to an extent. I am more of a fan of Cyberpunk 2077 world than the gameplay itself, if it makes any sense. I own, for example, a copy of Witcher 3, and no, I have not asked for a refund for it, and I did not buy it on GOG.com, I got it from Steam a while ago, in case you're interested. And even though I actually have not finished Witcher 3, I did enjoy the gameplay process of it and what the game looks like from just, you know, the actions that you perform in the game as a character, a lot more than that of Cyberpunk 2077. The first-person view works for me in the games like Division or Destiny 2, but turns out, I had to try it obviously before I could tell for certain, that while a level of certain extra immersion is definitely there, I guess, I find it a lot more kind of more first-person shooty, I suppose. The first-person view belongs in first-person shooters land for me. And I find myself a lot more interested in my character when I can see my character from the side, when I can see all the gear, when I can see every customization that I applied, from what they look like and move like and so on. So the gameplay, combat, roaming the world and so on felt to me much more enjoyable and better in Witcher 3 than it does in Cyberpunk. That's just possibly a matter of taste. But the game world is definitely a winner. I've always been a fan of the grungy and futuristic themes of Ghost in the Shell or more recent Netflix Altered Carbon TV show and setting. I obviously have to also mention Blade Runner. My very first impressions of Cyberpunk were very positive, because even on my mid-range PC that I already mentioned, the level of detail of the world was simply mind-boggling. And not even just from the graphical fidelity perspective, but from experiencing how lifelike and dense the environment is. People are walking along the streets, minding their own business. The city lives differently during the day and night. Cars are driving around and actually reacting to your presence if you cross the road or bump into them, for example. And there's just a lot of really random stuff going on. So yeah, the world is futuristic essentially, but very believable too, I would almost say. Like as an example, you might drive in the car while turning your head and looking around while the Quest NPC is talking to you. Nobody appears to be in some artificial rush. Dialogue unfolds quite naturally, as one would imagine to talk in real life. Well, of course, in an adaptive kind of way. It's still a game. Not just like a quest wall of text dump that we are used to in World of Warcraft quest panels with accept button at the bottom. The armored ambulance shows up at one point, it's not really a spoiler, and they won't open the door of their vehicle until you obey their orders and take a few steps back so that they know that it's a safe environment where they can work. So everything appears to be thought about and very well detailed, and one could just probably spend an hour looking around a certain room after you've cleared all the quest objectives just to try and piece together a picture of how people used to live here or what kind of shady business was going on there. One of the most enjoyable moments in the very early game for me was to stand in the lift of my apartment block, where I ended up watching a TV show, believe it or not. Yes, there is a TV in the lift, where two people were arguing about the role of religion versus human ability to maintain life virtually indefinitely in that crazy and very believable futuristic world of Cyberpunk. Speaking of TV shows, you as a player immediately get a feeling that you are actually an actor in some sort of a TV show, like I'm that agent in Altered Carbon TV series, if you haven't seen that on Netflix, making my way through the Neon City with my consciousness being planted into a body that basically drives it around, serves like a vehicle of sorts. All of that is awesome and honestly didn't disappoint at all. Now, with all that being so amazing, then where is the but? When is the but coming in this narrative? So how come I wanted to refund the game after like 3-4 hours into it and in this very seemingly amazing and satisfying world? Because, quite honestly, among other things, Cyberpunk 2077 is also quite overwhelming. Yes, that is one of the very key reasons, if not the reason. It requires you to be kind of too involved for my liking, at least right now at this stage of my life. At times it requires a lot more concentration than I'm ready to give and invest at this moment in time, like I said. It's been a hard year for I think the whole world, 2020, I'm not an exception. And I happen to be professionally very involved in talking to people all the time, working out a lot of stuff and making a lot of impactful stuff happen. So maybe that partially sort of turned me off as soon as I figured out that I need to talk to everyone in Cyberpunk, get to know them, follow certain, talk to people on the phone, accept certain quests, go around it. So as soon as it became a lot more involved from the RPG standpoint, I was like, nope, not ready for it. So as simple as it is, this was the main reason for me, where I didn't kind of want to obviously seem ungrateful or unappreciative for all the work that CD Projekt Red have put into the game. It's clear that the game is full of content for you if you have mental and physical capacity to linger around for hours and hours, talk to people, crawl around the streets, clear objectives either with brute force or with some sort of smarts and everything that you want to apply. But I seem to be only having capacity right now to be satisfied by pretty basic, pretty theme park-like stuff. One example of which could be, I suppose, World of Warcraft, which is a very, very different game, but it's a lot more simplified and a lot more catered for this kind of simplified, very limited amount of capacity that a person wants to dispense or even invest into the game. So I did switch back to my default form of spending free time, to the new expansion of WoW, Shadowlands. Fresh expansion, 3 new alt characters at the top level 60 right now, and seems like a lot of things to do, a ton of things to explore and systems to experience. And that is where it comes to the point that I made earlier. The content that doesn't seem to grip you or that frustrates you or that is simply not your kind of content, even at a theme park, is not content. Imagine walking into a theme park, be it a World of Warcraft, be it an actual theme park, be it a Cyberpunk 2077, and there are these lots of activities for you to do. Main quest lines, side quests, certain objectives, random objectives in the world, dangerous zones, trading certain mechanical parts, augmenting your body, doing whatever. And I'm talking cross games, obviously, right now, Cyberpunk and World of Warcraft a little bit. And imagine that you kind of don't want to do any of it. Imagine that you go walk into an actual Disneyland. Imagine if you walk into the best theme park in the world. And I don't know, you get vertigo from one of the carousels, you are not particularly interested in the Superman rocket ride, you're not particularly into Batman as a theme. I'm not talking about myself, I'm just speculating here, hypothesizing. And this is, if you ever wanted to actually understand truly where I'm coming from, this is the experience that I have now in World of Warcraft Shadowlands. There is lots of stuff to do in this theme park, and some of the stuff is, yeah, I could do it. But some of the stuff is just like, not for me, flat out not for me. So that suddenly carves out these huge chunks of this world, whatever it is, World of Warcraft or Cyberpunk 2077, that are not for me, hence it's like they're not there. And that is the kind of the key theme, the key message that I wanted to offer you guys and girls, in case you are considering an alternative game to, say, World of Warcraft, or maybe you clicked on the video and you came here exactly for what did this guy not like about Cyberpunk. Well, you have to be quite honest with yourself and maybe understand that the game will ask a lot more of you than you might be ready to give it. And I think being honest with yourself and understanding that the game has a fairly steep price tag, you will never get your cash back straight away. You best case scenario, you will get only some credit in some store, whether it's Steam, whether it's GOG.com, and you might not even want to play it. It's not like they give you a free trial version that you can run around for free before you decide to involve yourself further into the gaming world. No. There is an entry price for this theme park. You pay at the entrance. There are lots of bright, neon, beautiful colors and everything. If you're into nudity, there is plenty of that. If you're into violence, there is plenty of that. If you're into trading, there is plenty of that. There seems to be a lot in this theme park, and a lot of it has been crafted masterfully by creators of the game. There's absolutely nothing that I can say about, and they haven't done this, and that's why I don't like it. No, everything seems to be there if this is generally your genre of the game, if this is generally your setting. But nah, it just didn't grip me. It only fatigued me after a while. It only was like, oh my god, now after a long day at work and after talking to people, I have to also talk to these artificial people, NPCs in this game, who all seem to want a piece of me and all seem to be knocking on my virtual door of my messenger, sending me texts, calling me in game, and I need to return these calls probably if I want to play the game properly. And I don't wanna. At best, I might want to just crawl around and hack people with my katana, or maybe shoot some enemies. That's about it. That's about all I want to do. But that sounds more to me like Destiny 2 or Division 2 as opposed to Cyberpunk 27 gameplay. Yeah, I welcome as always your opinions in the comments down below, my friends. So we don't have to agree. This is a democratic enough club. I just came here to talk to you a little bit about this little conscious distraction off topic that I wanted to create for myself, maybe also with a little bit of a hidden agenda of kind of reinvigorating and making myself a bit more ready to continue playing World of Warcraft, as I know I'm addicted, I know it's my game, I have a YouTube channel about this as well. I want to come across engaged and interested to you, guys and girls, but at the same time I can't lie to myself. If something doesn't engage me, I'm proactively trying to re-engage, of course I am. And in this particular case, I placed a bet on this seemingly very safe bet. It seems like very much my world, very much cool stuff happening left and right in Cyberpunk. But nah. At this stage, I am not regretting pressing that please give me a refund button. At the moment, I'm still waiting for Cyberpunk people or CD Projekt Red support teams to grace my support ticket with their presence. I'm not impressed with the turnaround time at all. This is something that for what it's worth, I'd like to warn you about in case you will ever consider to do something like that, to buy the game, try it out a little bit. If it's not yours, return it. Because their policy, their return policy, 30 days, no questions asked, seems to be fairly straightforward and seems to be very appealing and a safe bet. But you will never see your cash back. At best, you're going to get some credit in their GOG.com wallet if that's what you're going to do. And that's that. So please do talk to me in the comments section down below. Have you decided to buy Cyberpunk 2077? And maybe it is everything you ever hoped for. Maybe it is. It's a wonderful game. It's a super engaged world. It's definitely very entertaining. It's very, very resource demanding for your gaming rig. If you're playing on PC, I can play on medium settings quite okay, and I have a very medium type of PC. It's already a couple of years old as well. It's not top of the range. I keep hearing obviously the news that are all over YouTube right now that there is quite a bit of a backlash because of performance of the game, lacking performance of the game on old generation consoles. But I'm not a console player, so unfortunately I cannot align with you, my friends, but I would love to hear your opinion if you're one of those people and you have actually experienced something else that you'd like to share with the audience here. I do once again apologize for mediocre footage in the background. It comes from these sort of resources that had to be divided between the game itself and my recording software, which didn't work out particularly well. But if you listened throughout this whole narrative and up to this point, I really appreciate that you have honored me with your time, and hopefully some of this resonated with you. Maybe you have something to say to me. Maybe we again don't have to agree, but I'd love to hear how you feel about Cyberpunk, how you feel about World of Warcraft. Are you still fully engaged in either of these two games? And yeah, more content is coming to you every few days' time. I'm not going anywhere. I was just trying to consciously take a little break on the side, have a little holiday, gaming holiday, so to speak. And I can't say that it worked out very well for me, unfortunately. Hopefully, if you're doing something similar, it works out better for you. Thanks again for listening. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and if you would like to support the growth of this channel. And if you liked this video, please tell YouTube that you did. Your vote always counts. Hit that like button, and I will be speaking to you very shortly in a few days' time. See you later. Bye.